let's advance this a little bit. I think we're both in agreement. The 49ers are a good football team and has a lot of strengths, and they're off to a good start, and there's a lot to be excited about.
For sure.
But they're losing Nick Bosa does take them off of that Super Bowl trajectory, and it's a trajectory that they have no interest in being taken off of. So let's talk about what could be done to add something of significance to this mix. I was on this morning on KNBR with Greg Papa, the voice of the 49ers, and he was asking me, suggesting that Trey Hendrickson should be a target of theirs. At that point, I just really heard the news that Bosa was out, and I couldn't really give him or anybody really any good breakdown on what was out there or what, I would do or what options they have. Mm-hmm. But basically, you have your internal options: Robert Beal Jr. and Travis Gibson. Gibson's had one good season as a sack master. He had 7.5 sacks. That's a good number. Beal is looks like a ton and doesn't play like a ton, and they haven't been able to get it out of him. He's big and fast and athletic, and we're talking about 6'4", 260, super athletic, and 4.5, sub 4.5 speed. We're talking about 4.45, 4.48, something like that off the edge at 260 pounds. He's one of the greatest athletes on the team. He's a force on special teams when he's that's how they utilize him. But can they coach him up and get anything out of him? Can they get anything out of Travis Gibson? Those are the internal options. So that's the internal. Then there's free agents. And I saw the list. It's Carl Lawson, John Kaminsky, Shaq Barrett, Jerry Hughes, who's 37, and DeMarcus Walker. So those are the 5 options. Nobody, Carl Lawson I liked back in the days. That was a couple of ACLs ago. Yeah. And Shaq Barrett was good when they won the Super Bowl, but that's probably when he was good last. And Kaminsky is probably not, is going to look very stiff after Nick Bosa. So, I mean, there's not good options on the free agent market.
No.
So then it's about trade candidates or practice squad poachings. All right. And that's really what we're looking at.
A practice squad poaching we're going to be in the same situation, right? Like, you're not getting somebody off a practice squad that's coming close to Nick Bosa replacement,
Of course. But you're really just looking to who do you got an organization full of guys who have football conviction, right? Mm-hmm. You got guys who coached for a long time. You got guys who played. You got guys who scouted. Somebody's got to have a good conviction about some of these trade candidates and some of these practice squad guys. I'm going to give you the list, and I'll tell you what I think.
Sure.
And I'm sure you have some thoughts.
Yeah.
So here are the trade candidates. And there may be more than this, but these are the trade candidates as I see them. Trey Hendrickson in Cincinnati, 1 year, just signed a 1 year deal, free agent at the end of the year. I can't see the Niners paying him next year. So but a 1 year rental in some ways, you could argue in some ways he'd be an upgrade from Nick Bosa based on the last couple of years. He's had 35 sacks over the last couple of years. So, he's a great talent, and he's in his prime. Trey Hendrickson is the move that says we are absolutely in this thing to win it. Right. That's the move that speaks loudly, but it's also a move that's going to be prohibitive as far as compensation. I saw Coach Yak suggest a third and a fourth. Think again. If you could get him for a third and a fourth,
I'll give you the fourth. Come on.
I mean, seriously, the fan base would donate those picks. I mean,
yeah. Are you?
Third and a fourth? I mean,
oh yeah,
that's just.
But don't even ask us for a second. We couldn't possibly give up a second. Trey Hendrickson's going to cost a first
for sure. First,
they're not going to. This is my issue. Like, no one can disagree that Trey Hendrickson is the number one target and the guy they should. But when you're thinking about 26, and your entire ethos of the organization up front is we have to build the foundation for the future. We have to get younger. We have to do all this stuff. Yes, the clear and present danger is falling off, but I think they would view it as more of a dire circumstance if they were to trade a first or even a second round pick in the next year's draft. So guys like Trey Hendrickson just aren't on the board for them.
I would agree normally, but I do think to stay current on the Niners, they have a quarterback now in Mac Jones that I think they probably will be able to get a day 2 pick for if they want to trade him based on what I've seen from him. And if he continues to play well, he's on the books next year for $7 million. That's cheap for a starting quarterback.
No
Somebody may give you a day 2 pick for him. So if you felt like you had an extra day 2 pick there and you could trade a day 2 pick for Hendrickson, maybe that would be their thinking. But he's the most expensive guy.
Now,
that's the most expensive one. And I don't want to say that's lazy to say that because it's a great idea, but it's the easiest one, right?
Totally.
Get Trey Hendrickson. Oh, of course.
Duh.
Why didn't we think of that? Okay, so let's dig a little deeper.
The one guy who actually can make the argument that he's in the caliber. It's like, yeah, just go get that guy. I mean,
go get that.
Good move. Great move.
Exactly. Go do a great move. So Trey Hendrickson would be the obvious one. And if you can get him, God bless you.
Yeah.
But let me give you some other names, and then we can talk about who you like out of this group.
Sure.
And I'll just read out the names, and we can talk about them all or whatever ones you want in a minute. Here they are. New Orleans has both Cam Jordan and Carl Granderson. The New York Giants have both Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm looking at mostly teams that are going to be bad. I'm not even thinking about, because guess what? People will say, oh, get this guy from a winning team. If you call a winning team and say you want one of their best players, they hate you forever.
Yeah.
You know,
you're not going to be like, no, give us yours. You're the one who's looking for help.
Right. We're going to beat you
like
next
you're
week.
You're the desperate team.
Right. And they get insulted. And so you're only bad teams are going to be considered here.
Totally.
So Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, New York Giants, Carl Granderson, Cam Jordan, Saints, Thomas Incoom from Carolina, who's on their bench, but he's had a good preseason sacking the quarterback. Arden Key from Tennessee, who was here before, can play a little inside, a little outside. Trayvon Walker from Jacksonville, who I think they didn't pick up the 5th-year option. So he, who knows, he could be available.
Yeah.
Jalen Phillips from Miami. When he's healthy, he's a very good edge rusher. And obviously they're going nowhere. Michael Clemens and Will McDonald from the Jets, because you've got to think Jets about every pick with the Niners, because clearly they're listening to Robert Saleh a lot on these recommendations. And he drafted Will McDonald, who played with Brock Purdy at Iowa State. And Michael Clemens, in a lot of ways, is the physical prototype of exactly the defensive end that they would want if they could paint one out of Texas A&M. He's a little nasty. He's 6'4", 270. He's an edge setter like a Bosa as far as that goes. He's a very good edge setter. He's not Bosa, of course.
Right.
But Clemens is the same size as Bosa. Okay.
Yeah.
Then there's Joseph Osai from Cincinnati. And there's Derek Barnett and Darrell Taylor from Houston. Barnett's a little long in the tooth, and Taylor's hurt right now, but both those guys are options. So that's the list of what I would say the trade target list of those guys. I mean, there's a number of interesting guys there. What do you think? I mean, there's some guys there that could absolutely help the Niners. What do you like?
Burns, Phillips, Walker, McDonald, and Clemens are the names that pop off there.
That you like, yeah.
Now, I haven't looked at Brian Burns' contract. I imagine they're in the 2nd year of that. So they're probably able to wiggle out of it at the end of the year.
Burns is going to hurt you on the cap.
Yeah, but they got a lot of cap room.
Yeah, they do. They do.
And it probably won't cost that much cash. Walker is a really fun concept.
Trayvon Walker. First pick in the draft over Aiden Hutchinson. Thank you, Trent Baalke. You know what, really? I like Aiden Hutchinson, Lowry, but I love Trayvon Walker.
I like Trayvon. I think Trayvon Walker's a good player. Now, he's no Aiden Hutchinson, obviously.
He's a good player, though. I mean, he's the first pick in the draft for a reason.
Yeah, I don't know about his 5th-year option situation. I'm not plugged in with what the Jags are doing, but
I don't think they picked it up.
That's wild.
He's a free agent at the end of the year.
I would go all in on that, because that's buying low, and if he comes through, that's somebody that you can keep around at a reasonable rate, and that's a real talent. Like, if he breaks through for the Niners, okay, you might lose him. Somebody might say, hey, he really broke out with the Niners. You give him good coaching. You put him in a good infrastructure. That's our guy moving forward. And then you just say, thanks, appreciate it. Don't get a comp pick or anything, which I know the Niners will be upset about, but you got what you needed. and no risk, no reward. But the reward could be one, you have a really good defensive end who doesn't have to be Nick Bosa, right? This is the other aspect of this. You're never going to get Nick Bosa. You can't get, unless you get Hendrickson, you're not getting an every down guy. So you just have another piece to this very complex puzzle that Robert Saleh is using and Chris Kasarik are doing on the defensive line. But if he can give you 35 good snaps and you can keep him out there when the run, when you're running, like that's great because you're using Mikel all over the line. You have Gross Matos, you have a Sam Aquanu, you have Huff. Like you can mix and match, right? You can get a little funky with it. You don't have the starting pitchers, you got to use your bullpen. And sometimes you can get better performance out of going through 5 bullpen guys than one good starting pitcher. So I would go with Walker, and I think both of the Jets guys are absolutely spot on. You know that they're coming from a system that is going to be plug and play. They know Robert Saleh's language. They know what Chris Kasarik likes to do. Not even though they haven't been coached by him, they know what he likes to do because Robert Saleh wanted to do the same thing with the Jets. That's plug and play. I'd imagine that the Jets, I don't know when the Jets give up on this. They're kind of a weirdly run organization, which is why they consistently suck. So I'm not sure if they're going to be too keen to let Robert Saleh show them up in that regard, but that's politics, and sweetening the pot can always help that argument. I'm not sure if McDonald or Clemens is as interesting as Walker. And now all I want to do, Larry, is jump off this stream and go watch Walker tape. So thank you for that. Another bit of homework for me.
I think you did a good job. I think you did a good job of handicapping this. I really do. Because, okay, so let's talk it through for a sec. Yeah. One, Hendrickson and Burns are going to be expensive as far as contracts. Yeah. Everything about their offseason screams they're saving money. So it just doesn't seem like a big money contract acquisition. It's like they have all the big money players they want, really. I think.
To be fair, I mean, it would only be for the rest of the year, and right. I'm sure that the team that's trading them can hold on to some money, and so yeah, it's a short-term expenditure, but any expenditure does seem to be a little bit too much for the York family and ownership right now. So
I mean, I don't think they're in the mood to really spend money, but at the same time, I also think everybody's got to take a deep breath, okay? Yes, you lost Nick Bosa, okay? And Nick Bosa is a cornerstone player for the 49ers. Everybody knows that. But I think you got to I think the organization and its fans all need to take just a collective deep breath and just be like, okay, you don't have to replace Nick Bosa. It's not like you have to go find another Nick Bosa. You don't. You just have to find somebody who can dial up some heat off the edge. That's really it. It doesn't have to be anything more than that. I'm not saying that Nick Bosa is not worth it, but it's a lot of he's a really good player in every phase, which is why he's getting paid so much. Yeah. But there are other guys, believe it or not, on this list that can rush the quarterback and stress out an offensive tackle, not exactly like Nick Bosa, but pretty damn close.
Right.
So Trayvon Walker is a major talent. He's kind of a more moves Mikel,
Yes. We've had that conversation before that this is what you get when
Mikel
you take
is coming.
guys from that Kirby Smart situation. Yeah.
This is what Mikel potentially is going to be. Is going to be a guy like this who's just really, really. But Mikel, he seems even stronger actually at the point than Trayvon Walker. But either way, Trayvon Walker would be nice, be really nice.
For what it's worth, by the way, they did pick up his 5th-year option.
They did pick up the option. Okay, so he's
it's $15.1 million, and you can't cut, even though it's not guaranteed money. You can't cut him.
So he's really in that category with Hendrickson and Burns. He's probably too pricey for them.
$15 million's a lot easier to swallow, but you would have to have a conviction about Trayvon Walker. Like, oh, that guy's available. We've been eyeing him for a long time. Like, we want this dude. Like, we've allocated, that's part of the budget for a guy like Trayvon Walker, but for everybody else, not so much. Like, that's the kind of.
So then if we go through the other options, Arden Key, I think is nice, but I don't think he's that much better than what you got.
It's going to be Arden Key, right? Like Arden Key's coming back.
Yeah, I mean Arden Key, I would say is highly likely to be the guy because they love.
I'm surprised he's not on the plane already.
No, seriously, Arden Key has decided to come back. And then, Jalen Phillips is a tremendous talent, but in a lot of ways, he's kind of like a Nick Bosa. He's like a really, really exciting rusher that can beat you with power or with speed. Oh, but by the way, he gets hurt.
Yep.
And this guy gets hurt more often. So
Far more.
I like Phillips a lot. His talent has always been off the charts. I liked him at UCLA. I liked him when he transferred to Miami. I mean, he's a good player anytime he's healthy, but he has a hard time staying healthy. And that goes back to all the way to college. So
Totally.
He's kind of an upright guy that exposes his legs. Any kind of low blocks, he's slow to react to it. He's gotten chopped a million times, and he gets hurt. He's a 6'5" guy with a long frame, and he gets swallowed up in the run game. Even though he's big and got a big body, he's much more of a finesse edge rush.
Narrow. He's narrow.
Yeah, he's a narrow pass rusher.
By the way, so is Will McDonald. It's unbelievable how that guy gets anywhere. I mean, he weighs nothing, but
Will McDonald's like 240, but Will McDonald is a much better athlete.
Stronger somehow.
Will McDonald is like a Mr. Olympia. I mean, he's just he's got spin moves and all kinds of balance and explosiveness. I think if I was looking at this list, I think I would try to get both those guys from the Jets. Just say, you know what? You're not going to be able to replace Nick with one guy, but how about Will McDonald and Michael Clemens for a 4th-round pick? Or how about Will McDonald and Michael Clemens for a 3rd-round pick?
Yeah.
If they want to squeeze you. But I mean, I don't think the Niners are going to be operating from strength, so I think they're going to wind up paying through the nose. But that's the direction I would go. Will McDonald would be an incredible speed rusher. Clemens would be a great first and second down run defender. Probably having 2 over 1 might actually be advantageous to their situation. Having the 2 guys over the 1, I think that would be kind of intriguing. So that's the direction I would go. Will McDonald and Michael Clemens with the Jets. Trayvon Walker, though, is exciting. And I think Incoom is kind of a sleeper.
That's a good name. And it's a hilarious name, so that's really fun. I would I will say, I mean, another aspect of this is I don't think that the Niners are going to do anything immediately. They're going to see how the next, I forget when the trade deadline is, but the next month plays out. And if they'll be in a circumstance where it's like, oh, we're 7-1, like we got to go. Like, this is our chance. Like, we're really good. And we're one Nick Bosa or one, pass rusher away from feeling like we're the team to beat in the NFC. That's a circumstance that could very well happen. And when that's the case, do they pony up? The issue is when you wait that long, now you're in competition, and there might be more names that come into play, right? Guys get injured and teams start fading, and now another defensive end that we're not talking about today looks like he's a more viable trade candidate. But like every team, again, I keep going back to the reliever analogy because I'm very narrow-brained, but every team, like at the trade deadline in baseball, every team's looking for a really good reliever or 2. You can never have enough good arms in your bullpen. And what's every team looking for come trade deadline in the NFL? Like, no, you're not. Yes, do they all want an offensive lineman or this? No, what they really want is somebody at defensive end, because defensive end is typically plug and play. Right. You don't need more than a week to just get in there and figure it out. You could sign a guy off the street and start him on Sunday. It won't go great, but you can do it. And every team's looking for, that impact defensive end, that guy that you can give 15 snaps a game, and he might be the difference in the contest, especially a big contest or a playoff contest. So the price is just going to go up. And I think that the Niners have a pretty low threshold for what they're willing to give up in draft pick compensation, which brings us back to Arden Key. You say that you should get both of these Jets guys because 2 is better than 1, and I agree with you on that. But you're already counting. 1 is Arden Key, so who fits well with Arden Key, Larry?
The Niners will bring back Arden Key. The 7, all roads lead back to Arden Key. I mean, Arden Key.
That 7th-round pick is already burning a hole in the Titans' pocket.
Arden Key was a blue chip recruit coming out of high school.
Unbelievable Clemson player too.
Yeah, I mean, he's
3 overall pick. I remember when the Raiders took him.
He was considered going into his final year in college. He was considered to be a top of the first round kind of a guy. It didn't happen for him, but he's had a nice NFL career, and he was good in San Francisco. And he's a good interior rusher. He might be better as an interior rusher though than as an edge rusher. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to the best players that are available, because those are trades, and we went free agents. We went in house. Let's go practice squad. And so I did the exercise for you, so you don't have to do it.
I appreciate that.
And
I knew you would.
I knew I would.
And
I
thought about looking this up, and I go, Larry's already got this. We're good.
This is what I'm made for. All right. This is why I'm here. Okay.
If I need a dude who knows dudes on practice squads, I go to Larry Krueger.
Right.
He's the practice squad whisperer.
Seriously. I mean, the phone rings late at night, I'm just joking. All right, here we go. This is what I scoured the practice squad. What I'm looking for is just who could give you some rush up front.
Right.
And, and I wasn't expecting to find much, but I was surprised by what I found.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I really was shocked to find any talent at all on the practice squad, but this is the list. Okay. And they're all, Andre Carter, formerly of Army, 6'6", about 255. He's on Detroit's practice squad. Really tall, angular guy, not a great run defender, not a great bulk, but pretty good pass rusher. Kind of not a lot of moves though, but was a pretty good player at Army. Khalid Kareem, former Notre Dame defensive end on Atlanta's practice squad. Not the greatest, but not the worst.
Yeah.
I'm going worst to first. Eric Watts on the Jets practice squad.
Okay.
He's kind of an interesting name.
Yeah.
Ethan Downs, who played at Oklahoma,
mm-hmm.
is on Kansas City's practice squad. And he's got
a good practice squad.
Yeah, they do. They do. And Brett Veach cares about his practice squad.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah. No, seriously. He really does.
We had this conversation last week. It's like, who are the two best teams if you were to say functionally in the NFL in roster? It's like, Eagles and Chiefs, the teams that played in the Super Bowl. It's like, which two teams care most about their practice squad? Eagles and Chiefs.
Yeah. Maybe Baltimore too.
Starting to think that might be a connection.
Ali Gay is on the LSU defensive end, is on Tennessee's practice squad. Always liked him. He was a very highly recruited guy once upon a time.
I dig that.
Isaiah Foskey is a Bay Area kid. He went to De La Salle. He's on the Bengals practice squad after the Saints cut him in camp. Foskey's not old. He came to the Niners local pro day once upon a time. He would love to be a Niner.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are the guys that are on the list that I don't like. Okay. Now here are the guys that are on the list that I do like. I don't know if you've seen this guy. This guy's a real sleeper. John Schneider has got a good eye for talent. And they've got a guy on their practice squad, a defensive end from South Alabama named Jamie Sheriff.
I remember Jamie Sheriff. Yeah.
6'1", 255 pounds. He's short, but he's a quarterback hunter.
Yeah.
Okay. Really underrated guy.
That's a good name.
Kind of violent, kind of really raw, but very interesting. Very interesting. Okay.
Yeah. He's bounced around the league a lot.
Has he? Okay.
Yeah.
That would
if I'm recalling.
Okay.
Yeah. I think this is his second go around with Seattle.
New England has two guys that I really like. Braden Swinson, who played at LSU, who's in this last draft, and he looks the part, man. We're talking about 6'4", 250. He's ripped up. He's probably a little weak against the run.
You were a big fan of him in the draft.
I liked him in the draft, and I still like him. And to me, this would be a good time to go after a guy like that. They also have a guy named Truman Jones, who was on Kansas City's practice squad last year. He played at Harvard. And this guy is a freaky athlete. 6'2", 255, 37-inch vertical, 4.6 speed. He's like kind of your workout warrior, Harvard developmental edge guy. Truman Jones, New England. Okay.
Jones. Not familiar, but
all right. The guy who they're most likely to sign off the practice squad is Cleveland Farrell, who is on Jim Harbaugh's practice squad with the Chargers. I thought Cleveland Farrell was 32. He's 28.
Yeah.
He was here before, and he can play the run. He's not going to give you much as a pass rusher.
I always get him and Arden Key mixed up. I was everything that I had said about Arden Key was actually about Cleveland Farrell. Arden Key went to LSU, and Cleveland Farrell went to Clemson, was a 5-star and a big-time player. Right. Went fourth in the draft. Thank you, Mike Mayock. That's right. Yeah, that's what a day. What a day that was. Well, he's a high character guy. and Cleve Farrell, whenever I would go to like the Raiders facility, or even now, I cross this bridge every day in Alameda to go to Bay Farm Island over by the Oakland airport. And he used to fish over there like every day.
Really?
So if you ever needed to talk to him, you knew where to find him. He was fishing.
I love talking to Clee, man. I talked to him a bunch.
He's a great guy.
Great guy. Great interview.
He still
too.
is, probably. I spoke about him in the past tense. He's a real living person who's alive. Yeah.
He's just dead from the Niners for the moment, but he could be back if they want. And any of these guys in the practice squad could be plucked tomorrow if you want to place them on your own active roster and the Niners have a hole. So here are the three names that I like the most.
Wow. Okay, great.
Okay. The Ravens, of course, have a guy that I'm sure you and Jake broke down in the draft, Kamon Rucker.
Yes.
Defensive end. He's a little short, but he's productive edge rusher. He's 250 pounds. He was good at North Carolina. He's a little small for what the Niners like, but he can get after the quarterback. Kamon Rucker.
Okay.
That's
it's interesting because I don't think that he was on the Niners' radar. That's just kind of really tying together some loose leaves when we're reading the tea leaves here.
Okay.
Because
why is that? Why do you think he's not on their radar?
The size issue.
Yeah, he's in the 255 range. They're looking for bigger guys typically.
Yeah, like if you are proven as an elite speed rusher, like they'll put up with your size deficiency, but like he's not that. Like he's not Huff. So I don't think that he was on their radar. And so I'm going to, especially, and then we joked about it in the last show, like they just go with guys they already know or guys that they really like during the draft process. Well, they know Arden Key and they know Cleve Farrell. And I don't think that Rucker was on their radar. They could pretend like he was, but from everything I could tell, he wasn't somebody that they were valuing. And I don't think they even placed a call for him in undrafted free agency.
So Rucker would be number 3 on my list. Number 2 on my list is not even a defensive end. He's more of a defensive tackle, but he's just an odd-shaped defensive lineman who's a freakish athlete with unbelievable athleticism, a crazy motor, and I've just seen this guy win. He just wins all the time. He's 5'11", 6 feet, 275 pounds. Elijah Chapman from the New York Giants, who played at SMU, is on the Giants practice squad. This guy ran 35 yards down the field to run down a running back last year. He has an unbelievable motor. He's a crazy athlete. He's probably best as a nose guard, but I mean, he's really, really athletic, really, really quick.
He's
crazy
a gap
motor.
splitter.
He's strong as hell.
Yeah.
I mean, a guy like this has got enough bend. He's such a good athlete. I would put him out there and just see what happens. That's
a worthwhile dart throw because he's a gap splitter.
He's a pro athlete is what he is.
Yeah,
he
gets
in the professional athlete. He's 280 pounds.
No technique. Nothing. I mean, nothing. No technique. But
no, he's just a crazy athlete.
Fire. So what's the worst case scenario there? Okay, you know what Gibson is. You know what Beal is. Beal is so bad that nobody was like, we'll take his garbage contract. No one even wanted to put him. No one wanted to pick him up. No one wanted to put him on their 53. And he came on back to their practice squad. Some teams some players, it's like, we're not going to pick you up on waivers, but like, we'd love you to come be on our practice squad. And, Robert Beal, I would imagine at this point is like, I feel like my time in San Francisco is up. And yet here he is still here in Santa Clara. And it's because that there's not a lot of interest in him. And Gibson, they were able to sign off the street halfway through training camp. So do you want to promote those guys to your 53? Or do you want to have a 2 or 3 week dart throw with one of these guys like Chapman and just see what's up? And if it doesn't work out, what'd you lose? It doesn't cost much cash wise. He's not costing you any draft picks. Like, you're in a situation where you got to try some stuff. And I would rather spend the next 2 and 3 weeks figuring out if a guy like Chapman, and I'm sure the next guy you name, is capable of making something happen for you before I slide in somebody who I pretty much know is not going to make something happen for you, but they know the system, Larry. They know the system, so it's important they stay.
So Elijah Chapman's my number 2, just on
Yeah.
pure athleticism. I love that kid, and he's on the
That's a good
Giants
idea.
practice squad, and why the hell not?
Right. Yeah.
Number 1 on my list, and I would sign this guy tomorrow. I'm a huge fan, always have been. Mo Kamara, who played at Colorado State,
yeah.
and he was drafted by
He was a
Miami, and it
beast at
just
Colorado State.
didn't work out at Miami. Now he's at Tampa, and he's on their practice squad. And I was looking at a quote from his college coach, Larry Foote.
Yeah.
All right, not his college coach, his pro coach with Tampa, the linebacker coach at Tampa, Larry Foote, the former Michigan Wolverine. He said, this is what he said about Kamara. He's got juice. I liked him coming out of Colorado State. When they ran to me, said they had an opportunity to get him, I was excited. I'm glad we got him. He's been a joy to coach. Okay. So now I want to share the screen real quick because I thought this was a great video.
Yeah.
This is, wait a second. No, wrong.
The opposite of what you want to do there, Larry.
I just took myself out of the video altogether. All right, I'll share the screen.
I can't break down Mo Kamara tape for you.
This is Baldy. This is Baldy and Kamara coming out in the draft. Listen to what he said. That's a pretty good breakdown.
Yeah.
Mohamed Kamara here of Colorado State. Watch him dip and rip and go through the inside shoulder of the tackle to get to Shedeur Sanders. Like, he's just a football player. You watch him right here, set the edge, okay, hold his ground. Now, run and chase. He runs, 6'1.5", 248 pounds, like ran in the 4.5s. You watch him right here, and he's a spy on Shedeur. Shedeur breaks the pocket. Here he comes. Plants Sanders right into the turf. Got him eating grass seed right there and in home field. Like, everywhere he goes, like, you watch this right here, and you go, watch the quickness to defeat the guard and the running back. Here it comes. Just powers right through it, takes down the quarterback. All right? Watch him turn the corner here, the takeoff, the turn the corner, and he stays off the ground. Like, there he is, palms on the ground, but he stays up with the tackle on top of him to get to the quarterback. You know, he had 29 sacks the last 3 years. But it's tackle for losses, it's sacks, it's safeties, it's fumble recoveries for touchdowns. It's everything.
I mean, you get the picture. I mean, he goes on for another minute there,
awesome.
But Kamara was really good at Colorado State. He's on Tampa's practice squad. You know, Jason Licht is a good personnel guy, so he stacks his practice squad with a lot of good players on it. I just think that's the guy. He's about, you know, he said he's 248. Yeah, he's 248 at Colorado State. He's probably in the low 260s right now, high 250s. You're not going to find somebody 275. It's not going to be a perfect thing. But what you really need, and what the Niners, I think, have, what the first 3 weeks, what they should have learned from the first 3 weeks is that if you can put 2 speedy edge dynamos out there and make those tackles kick out, whether you've got a Bosa-like guy to set the edge or not, if you can get those tackles to flare out and you can create that space in the middle, then, yeah, you got guys like Gross Matos and Mikel who absolutely can consistently knife through those gaps, win against the run or the pass, and really give you kind of a chaotic, awesome, speed-oriented defensive line. So I know everybody's going, oh, my God, they lost Bosa. It's over. And I get that. And I understand Bosa's really special.
Yeah.
And I don't know that they have what they need right now on their roster or on their practice squad. But if they could add, either via trade or practice squad or both, a couple of pieces of guys who have some athleticism off the edge, I do think they've got good enough teachers and enough speed on all 3 levels of the defense to have a good defense.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. They're, again, starting at a much better spot than I certainly expected. And I think they expected to start out with. And I do think that, you know, the return safety and is going to be huge. They're in a really good position. I'm my head is spinning about Mo Kamara because one of my favorite players in this past year's draft was Josiah Stewart. And not so coincidentally, the Rams ended up taking him 90th overall, pass rusher out of Michigan. And I thought he was more of like a day 3 guy, but they took him at 90. And he's been really good for them to start. He's, you know, part of the rotation, all this. Mo Kamara is like a better prospect than Josiah Stewart. Legitimate. Like, I think he's a better prospect. And I was unaware that he was not on a 53-man roster.
I wasn't either. I thought he was.
That has to be the play.
Yeah.
Larry, you will not get this from me often. You're spot on. No further analysis needed. It has to be Mo Kamara.
On